evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Yes, I'm back, and Dr. Glidden, I'm hoping, is going to be back with us shortly. Give me a 5B5 in the chat if we are live and you can hear me, because I'm not seeing anything come up in my chat on this screen. And the British have been attacking our channel, right? So I just want to know if people have seen this and are getting there. Let me just make sure I can go back to my live chat. Put private. Can anyone see me? All right. So I'm not seeing anyone in my live chat on this screen. So I need to know whether you can see me. Can you see me? 5B4. Eleanor on a tripe. I ain't seen you for a while. Where you been? Timbrook 2, Luke 1956, Daddy Dragon, can you see me? Right, I'll just see myself on the screen. It's all coming through now, English, not British. We are going to be waiting for a very good friend of this show, and I'm just going to briefly show you on the screen because it's really important that everyone understands this. Let's hopefully, I want everyone to know the link to Peter Glidden, right? There's someone else I've got on my mind who's David. That was just come off the phone to, right? So I'm showing it on your screen. New content, etc. If you click on the link in the description of this video, it will take you to Dr. Glidden's website where there's lots of information. There's lots of stuff that will help you in your health. Remember, it's not just about the supplements. You need to stop eating the 12 bad foods, right? I feel fantastic, not just because I ain't long been back off of a super yacht. I love saying that, but it's just, listen, this is Tim's, I'll just call it Tim's gaff, right? And I can't think of a more beautiful way of people connecting with each other when you just get in a sailing boat, you've got you and hopefully a loved one, and you're just together, and the ocean is your backyard, right? And you pull up into a bay, drop anchor, get the brine out, sit there, and everything's chilled, right? And the only place on the planet you can't do that, in other words, drop anchor, right, is the United Kingdom, because the Crown charges you to drop anchor, right? It's a disgrace, and I think it's something that we need to add as a policy, you know. Not that I want a load of dinghies dropping anchor all around Great Britain, but you get the point. You can go anywhere, right? So all of these people, everyone's seeing us. Don't forget to hit everything out there. There is the website, the cause of the solution to the chronic disease epidemic. And again, this is all great stuff. And I don't know how long ago that photo was taken or that was actually done, but it ain't changed much, has it? And all this healthy living from Dr. Glidden, you know, actually works, you know. I mean, people have said about me, I mean, my blood pressure's gone down, my health's improved. I'm certainly got, some people go to me, I don't know where you get the energy from. Well, I literally, if I get another 20 years of good life, I'll be very happy. And if I was on a boat, even better, right? So don't forget, there it is. And then the other one to look at is where you can get these products, right? The best place to get the products in Europe is from Jonathan at Youngevity, right? So it's on your screen there. And if you think I don't actually use any of this stuff, I've got it all, the different bits and pieces here, right? Here's another one, right? That's the one that I use, and I will be showing it on the screen later. There's Zeratex, that's the one I boosts your hormones. Again, tangerine, right? As a powder, you just mix it up. It gives you everything. That's your essential 90. There are some amino acids, etc. you can have with that, which I can show you, which is that one, right? And there's the fluid, and I'll be showing you, right, at the end of this interview, I'll be pouring that into a glass and just drinking it, right? And then you've got everything that your body needs to naturally repair itself, literally, right? So all I'm doing is making sure you understand all of that. So there it is, all on the screen. And have a look at that. Even on this website, blimey, we've got 2 white people. Even the advertising on that website, I agree with. Right? So there is the information. And again, Dr. Glidden, who is going to be coming on the show shortly, I've just sent him a link. So I'm hoping I will see him click in at some stage. There are some other things that's going to go on. Again, we're going to be asking some questions of Dr. Glidden. I do need everyone, if you can, before I let Dr. Glidden in, what I'm going to do is take this link, right? Try and copy and send this out as much as you can. Don't forget, these people hate us, right? When I say these people, I mean the British, right? And you've got to make sure live now. I've just put that out. Share this on all the social media platforms and get our message out, because we're not just about the politics, we're also about the health, right? It's crucial, and especially as you're getting older, you can repair your own body. Your body wants to repair itself, right? But you need to give it what it needs. And I just think everyone literally can live a really happy life if they can. So here we go, people. I'm going to bring in, and I'm hoping this works properly. Not sure whether or not I should take my hearing aids out, which means I can't hear a thing now. Put my Beats on. There you go. Right. And hopefully I'll be able to hear this. Let's hopefully this works. Allow. For some reason, it's not coming in. Right, I don't know why that is. Why is it not doing it? It's not coming in. Right, can everyone see me and hear me? Right, so I've got an allow function on there. What I'm going to have to do is all the different platforms. It's fairly obvious to me, except no one in the waiting room. It says, oh, I'll just copy. Hopefully it now works. Is this now working?
Can you hear me?
Right, hang on 2 seconds. Let me put my, because I'm getting feedback and it might be because of me.
Oh, yeah, we did this before. I need to put my headphones on.
Audio controls. Let's see if I can turn this up. Camera. Oh, I didn't know you had audio controls on there as well.
Check, check, check.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Do we have a feedback?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I have. It's my voice coming through to you.
Yeah, you're perfect.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but you're probably still getting feedback from me.
Yeah, I am slightly.
Okay, hold on. Let me fix that.
Well done. See, not only can you fix audio problems, you can also fix human problems. We're going to call you the computer doctor as well.
Hold on. Hold on.
Let's make sure I can put that right the way up. I might actually change my earphones to make sure I get this right. Hang on a minute. Let's see if I can pull that out. These ones are powered, and they're a lot louder. Let's see if I can. Hopefully, I can hear that. Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Okay, I can now hear you. So let me see if I can turn the volume right up. See if this blasts me. Okay.
Are you still getting feedback?
1, 2, 3.
1,
Yeah,
2,
I
3?
am. Yeah, I'm getting. So the feedback is me coming back when I talk to you.
Yeah, so that's because my microphone's picking you up. So I have to connect my headphones and.
Yeah, and everyone's saying there is an echo.
Hold on, buddy. Okay, I will be right there.
Okay. Just to tell the audience, we are working on the echo. So what happens is if Dr. Glidden's speakers, as I come through, because there's a slight delay, my voice will then come back through his speaker and back here, and that's why you're getting the echo. So you can solve that with something called echo cancellation, which is a bit more technical, or you simply put earphones on and you don't get it. But so Dr. Peter Glidden is now trying to find himself a pair of earphones. And for some reason, these beats are not very loud on this computer, which means I need to turn up my main sound on my main computer. How I'm going to do that, I don't know. But is everyone fine at the moment? Let me have a quick look. How many people out there? Don't forget, sharing is caring, right? So share as much as you can. Get the message out there. And don't forget the links to Dr. Peter Glidden's website is literally in the description of this video.
One moment.
One, two, three, four, five. Look, still coming through to me. Let me have a quick look. Gooner Mum, Juicy Lucy. Website discount code, there you go. I'm still getting the echo.
Yeah, you will be getting the echo until I get these headphones figured out. And right now they're out of juice.
Oh, are they? That's like these ones. These are powered.
Yeah.
Not like the other ones.
I'm trying to power these up, but I think it's futile. Hold on.
That's the one problem with powered earphones. You have to keep them charged. Ooh, look, the old-fashioned way. That's it. And there's me saying it's the old-fashioned way. If you went back 30 years ago, everyone would say, what are they?
Fingers crossed.
Okay. And we have liftoff. One, two, three, four, five. I'm still getting the feedback. I just heard a click then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. Perfect. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Ah, well done, Dr. Peter Glidden. How you doing?
We have the technology. Hey, I have something to show you.
Okay.
So 2 days ago in the mail, I got this.
Oh, right. Yeah.
This is the package that I sent to you.
Yeah.
With the kidney stuff in it.
Okay.
that was returned by customs in the UK.
Why did they say they sent it back?
They said import duty, excise duty, VAT, other. They didn't say. They didn't give a reason.
Well, so
It says not called for. And I sent this on February 20th, and I just got it back 2 days ago.
Really?
So
Mad.
this is the second time I've sent you something, but the first time it just disappeared.
Really?
This time it took March, April, May. It took 3 months for me to get it back. So it's not like we didn't try.
No. Well, again, I'll have to work out. I'll see if I can. So I know someone else in America. You might be able to send it to them, and then I'll speak to someone because they send stuff across all the time, and then I should be able to get it back over to me. But I'll work that one out with you. But that is important because I need to try and resolve my kidney issue. But just to let you know, so I am back from the super yacht in Portugal.
Nice.
And I was walking around Portugal with my t-shirt on. And all the Portuguese was like that, right?
Yeah.
And then there was some Canadians there that got off some cruise liner that was sneering at me, and I was thinking, where do they come from in Canada if they don't like President Trump, you know?
Well, the Canadian government just elected an extremely liberal candidate to Parliament, like 4 weeks ago. So that's where they're coming from. There's a big, especially in Canada's really divided between the people in Quebec and every other province, and the people in Quebec are extremely liberal, and for some reason they hold all the political power. I don't know why. I have a lot of friends in Alberta, which is the oil producing province of Canada.
Yeah.
They've wanted to secede from Canada for 15 years. So it really does depend in Canada on which province you're in. But I would say that the majority of the people in Canada are conservative, but it's the people that are in power that are liberal, and I just simply don't understand it.
Well, that's a bit like what we've got with the British. So in effect, we're a British colony, and the British are this group of people that are in control. They're actually a minority, but they're controlling the other elements of England. But just to make sure you're clear on this, I'm really pleased that you brought up Alberta, because there's a massive independence movement in Alberta, and their independence flag has got an English flag right at the top of it, and I was going, go on Alberta, that's what you want to see.
Yeah,
so they do get it.
Most people are completely unaware of the political relationship that exists between Canada and the United Kingdom.
Yeah,
they're completely unaware of it. And so it's interesting times that we live in. I saw the video that you produced 3 or 4 days ago on X. So how's your fight going? How are your election odds looking? What's happening?
Oh, you're gonna love this, right? So we've caught them cheating, basically, and. I'm not sure if I told you exactly what happened, so I'll explain it because there's a lot of people listening that want to understand this, right? So, at the election at Runcorn and Helsby, which was a very high-profile election, we did a great campaign. We went out, we were talking to people. People was bibbing us. People was stopping in their cars, coming up to us saying, "We're going to vote for you." It was fantastic. There's a number of issues that we've had. First of all, the police were harassing our campaign. All right. The second, which is unlawful, it's actually election interference. The second is that the Royal Mail didn't deliver any of our leaflets. Right. And there's specific something on that leaflet They didn't do it. They said they've had. But here's the kicker. When we get to the count, I had witnessed a minimum of 116 votes, right? So there were 2 bundles of 50 and some extras. Now, that's just what I could see. Doesn't mean that that's the maximum we got. That's just what I see in, say, a third of the vote, right? And then when the count actually come out and the returning officer produced the return, he said that we had received 50 votes. So, which made us stone last. But here's the kicker. People need to understand that they bundle votes in 50, right? So I see 2 clips of 50 and some extras. But in 2016, 9 years previous, in a place called Tooting in South London, which is about a mile away from where I was born, Sadiq Khan was in that constituency, and he became the mayor of London. And he stood down, and I stood in that constituency. And guess what? I got exactly 50 votes.
Wow.
Different part of the country, completely different demographic, but it's still bundled in 50, and I got exactly 50 votes. Now, what we've done, I said it was a 40,000 elections to 1 chance of that happening. That's the odds, right? And then someone from the Royal Statistical Society contacted me, and he said, "Graham, you're wrong." And I said, "Am I?" I said, "Tell me how I'm wrong." He said, "It's 1 million to 1, not 40,000 to 1. I said, "Well, thank you very much for that." And he said, "And by the way, I am an analyst for the Financial Times. I used to be an analyst for the Financial Times," and he gave me all his accreditation, "and I am very prepared to make an expert witness statement for court that this can't happen, right? It is obviously election fraud." And then we've got lots of other witnesses coming forward with various bits. So I went again. I was in Portugal. I'd put the application into the election court in the High Court. And what happens is, for a 21-day period after an election, you have a 21-day period where you can put an election petition to the High Court. And then what they do is they look at it and then they issue it. Once they've issued it, I've got to serve it. So I served it on the Cheshire Police Constable, Chief Constable, the Royal Mail, the head of the Royal Mail. And by the way, the head of the Royal Mail is a lady called Emma Gilthorpe, and it just so happens that her stepfather, now deceased, was a 40-year Tory peer, right? So it shows how incestuous all of these businesses are and these people are at the top. So our leaflets didn't get delivered. We was harassed by the police, and the count was dodgy. There's some stuff I'm going to show on here tonight where people don't realise how bad it is. I mean, there was a particular instance in 2004 where an election court judge actually said, as part of his ruling, that the United Kingdom elections would make a banana republic blush.
Yeah,
how bad it is. And he said and it's completely crooked, right? So there isn't a fair election system. So what we've done now, on June the 13th, I've put all the paperwork through. I've had to pay something like £6,100 so far to get this case into the High Court. And then on June the 13th, we've got the different people that have been put on there as respondents. Now they're all panicking because all of a sudden I've got evidence, and no one in the past really stands up against the people that are criminals. Yeah. And they get away with it. And you've got to stand up and actually say, no, that's it. And then you get the secondary issue, which is you get British barristers and British solicitors that will not say that the British system is corrupt. Whereas I'm not a British solicitor. I'm not a British barrister. It's a bit like me not being part of like the Doctors Guild or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll actually stand up and say exactly what's going on and what's wrong. What they're going to do now on June the 13th is they move. So 2 High Court judges, this, by the way, this isn't like Mickey Mouse judges. This is 2 High Court judges from the Royal Courts of Justice, just like in the medieval times, a bit like the Assize Courts. They take 2 judges from there and they put them in Runcorn and Helsby. So they commandeer an area there, create a court, and then what they do, the registrar of that court is a Supreme Court judge. So that's what we've created. And what I'm trying to tell people is we've created that, right? Because we are the only people fighting back against the British political system and the tyranny of being colonised. So again, I always say, and that's again really important that you brought up Alberta, because when I started to see it's slightly different in Alberta because that group are non-political. But what I've said is you're never going to breach this system unless you can get people that understand that there is a difference between the British and the English, the Scots, the Irish and the Welsh, right? We're all lovely people. So getting back to just to fill you in. So you know I haven't just been sitting around on a yacht in the Algarve, right? So Captain...
How was the Algarve?
Well, I'll tell you what, Captain Tim is probably one of the most wonderful people I've ever met, right? I think we've become quite good friends. It's a freedom yacht, by the way. So he was a Yorkshireman. He moved to New Zealand. He built a business. He sold the business. He became part of the freedom movement when the government was shutting everyone down during lockdowns and all that. He decided he'd never been on a boat before. And then he decided, so one of the people in the freedom movement said, well, I've got a yacht for sale if you want it as a freedom yacht. So he bought it. Never been on a yacht before, turns on the engine and says, I'm sailing around the world. And that was it. He was off. Right? And then he managed to he went through all these different countries, Fiji. The only place he had a serious problem was India. By the way, just to make sure everyone is aware of this, right? What Tim says is you do not need a passport to travel the world, right?
Right.
And so I've got a book written by Sir William Wade. It's called Constitutional Fundamentals. And this is an English scholar of law recently from the Hamlin Lectures. And what he says is, in that book, you do not need a passport. It is a common law right, a God-given right to travel. It cannot be taken away by a government, right? And it's all in this book. So Tim is proving that to people, right? And the only place he got a problem was in India, where they pointed machine guns at him. And he basically said, listen, right, I'm not invading your country here. I just need fresh water and some supplies. And international law says they're not allowed to refuse a vessel that needs water and food. Otherwise, if you put them back to sea, you're condemning them to death, right? So they allowed him. So he gave him a shopping list. Said, there it is then. If you don't want me to get off my boat, here's my shopping list. So all these soldiers with guns went up the road, got him all of his water and his food and said, here it is. And he went, bye. And he was off. So he is a great guy. So again, back to the Algarve. The vessel got damaged in a storm. So he's dropped anchor. And again, people listening to this should understand this very much so. People should understand this, and so the only place in the world you cannot drop anchor, meaning not come ashore, drop anchor, right, and just sit there for months, years, or whatever, is the United Kingdom. If you drop anchor anywhere around the United Kingdom, you have to pay an anchorage fee to the Crown, right? And there's lots of different people. I met quite a few different nationalities in Portugal, and they all said you're the only place that does it in the world. You need to stop doing it. And then, so I said to one guy who'd been on the boat in the same bay, he was German, for 2 years. I said, how much have you paid to anchor there? He went, nothing. He said, this is my home. So when I'm sitting on the back of the boat, I'm sitting there working, got my laptop, sitting there with a glass of wine and a cigar because the cigars are cheap, right? So I'm sitting there working away, plotting against the British government and the electoral system, and writing out all of these statements, etc., and doing everything I've got to do. And what Tim said was right. He said, rather than you sit in your flat, you can sit here and do this. And he said, but when you look up, you've got the ocean as your backyard and the Algarve. It's as simple as that. So it is. You know, when you feel re-energized because you're actually, there's nothing more directly connecting you to nature. And until you get up from your seat, you walk 3 yards, you look over the back of your boat, and there's a dolphin.
Yeah.
You know? And the dolphins are like the angels of the sea.
Yeah.
And they only come up to people they like, right?
That's right.
And when that Freedom yacht come into that bay, there's a video of it. The dolphins come to the yacht, right? So they know that there's good people. They can feel the energy.
Yeah.
And it's really, it's one of them things to, you know, where you just feel re-energized. And then
I grew up on an island, so I understand completely what you're talking about.
Oh, really?
100%. Yeah.
What island did you grow up on then?
Nantucket Island off the coast of Cape Cod in southern Massachusetts.
All right.
Yeah. I am the man from Nantucket.
So that's probably why you're more in tune with nature.
Yeah, I think there's an Irish saying or myth or something that if you grow up near the ocean, or if you're born near the ocean and you're away from the ocean for an extended period of time, you start to lose it a little bit. And so I need to get to the ocean at least once a year in order to feel sane again.
Well, and that's strange. That's exactly how I feel. I've said to people, I need to be in the sun and in the ocean.
Yeah.
It like re-energizes me.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
Yeah, no, it definitely is.
It's interesting. In Japan, I don't know if you know this, but there's medical doctors prescribe something called forest breathing to their patients.
All right.
So it's the patient has a doctor's order to go and spend time in nature because it's so very health affirming and it does so many wonderful things for the metabolism and the physiology of the body, just being in Mother Nature. It's a remarkable thing.
Well, again, there was something I read by it was a doctor online similar to yourself, and he said if you've got COPD, you need to live near either the coast or what did he say? A waterfall. He said because it creates ions in the air that your body needs, and it will replenish your lungs. Yeah. And you can get that from a coast, or if you even walk into the sea.
You can't get that from a drug.
Not exactly.
And this is the message, right? That you cannot cut, burn, and drug yourself into a state of health. You can't do it. Those therapeutics are good for certain things, but they're not going to make you healthy. And this is why we have a chronic disease epidemic in the world, because the medical doctors that are in charge of the development and the delivery of medicine are trained in a medical discipline which is inconsistent with natural law. And they're not trained to cure anything. So under their tutelage and care, the blood pressure is never cured, it's managed. Yeah. The arthritis is never cured, it's managed. The depression is never cured, it's managed. Nothing is cured except every once in a while a bacterial infection. And they're starting to lose the war on bacterial infections, quite frankly. Well, this is why we have a problem, Graham. It's because the people that are in charge of medicine, the development and the delivery of medicine, the doctors that are, in the number one top dog king's seat, do not practice curative medicine. And so when you go to a doctor who doesn't practice curative medicine, your condition is managed. Your condition is drugged. Your condition is managed. Your condition is drugged. Your condition is managed. Your condition is drugged. And as time goes by, you get weaker and sicker and weaker and sicker, and more drugs are piled on, and then you die. And this is supposed to be the best system of medicine in the world. It's not. It's really good for trauma care. It's really good for surgery when you need it. It's really good for military field medicine. But for most of the conditions that most people go to the doctor for most of the time, it's just a shit show. And because, just like where you are and where I am, the political system that's in power is a bad system.
Yeah.
The medical system that's in power is a bad system.
Yeah.
And it's the system itself that needs to be transcended. And Bobby Kennedy is not going to be able to fix that. It's lipstick on a pig as far as I'm concerned. I mean, there is corruption. Everybody knows there's corruption in conventional medicine. Everybody knows there's corruption in medical journals. Everybody knows there's corruption in the pharmaceutical industry. Everybody knows it. So if Bobby Kennedy is successful in cleaning that up, well, that's great. But all that's going to do is give more people more confidence in conventional medicine, which doesn't teach its doctors how to cure anything.
Yeah.
We need medical freedom. We need equal access to all systems of medicine if we're going to stand a snowball's chance in hell.
So just to pick up on a couple of things that you said there, which I completely agree with. So I had high blood pressure. I suffered from depression and various other issues, right? Fasting, essential 90, certain other elements that I also take, for example, that one there, right, which is again, and again, not that I'm doing an advert for this, but Tangerini Essential 90, right? So I have no longer got high blood pressure. I am no longer depressed. As most people say to me, Graham, you're so relaxed now. You're just like, you seem different. And I'm like, listen, I've been doing this Essential 90 and actually doing what Dr. Glidden suggests on his website. Cut out the 12 bad foods. I cheat sometimes and I don't feel too good about doing it, right? But my point to everyone is what Dr. Glidden is saying actually is the truth, right? And it's more than that, because the reason why I think there's such a synergy, right, between myself and you is you talk about this medical system and the doctors who are trained and everyone looks at them and says, oh, you wonderful people. It's not really their fault. They're not really bad people.
No.
They've been indoctrinated. We've got the same problem where doctors are now not trained in natural medicine and the Essential 90 and what your body needs to repair itself. And there's a lovely description you give of a human being coming from one cell to two cell. It makes its own brain, its eyes and everything. And you think it's not clever enough to heal itself. Well, that's just mad. But on the same thing is with the legal profession.
Right. The
common law is God's law. It's natural law, right? And what they've done is trained a group of people, British solicitors, British barristers, in a system of law that is alien to God's law and the nature, as we know it, of natural justice. And that's the difference. So we've got a synergy, and the Constitution is the solution.
Yeah, 100% correct. And natural law is the solution. And see, the irony here is that there have existed curative systems of medicine for about 200 years now. It's not like we don't know what to do. Oh, pharmaceuticals are only going to manage the problem, but there's nothing else to do. Well, there is a lot else to do. We've known about it for over 200 years. There have been hospitals that practiced it and that delivered these medicines for a long time. But then when there was a hostile takeover of the medical industry in the early 1900s, all of those curative systems of medicine were sidelined. They were kicked off of the bus of medicine. And so it's not like we need to do more research. We already know what the curative laws of medicine are. We already know how to support and promote the body's God-given ability to fix itself. The only thing that we need is protection under the law and equal access. People need to know that these systems of medicine exist. These systems of medicine need to stop being suppressed by the pharmaceutical industry. These systems of medicine need to be more well known. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to make the wheel available to everybody who wants the wheel.
Yeah. So in English law, it was known that every Englishman is a common lawyer, because they knew their God-given rights and they could stand up in a court and talk to a judge themselves, right? So what you've just said there about, the ancients and even going back 100 years ago, just to make sure people are clear on this, and I'm sure you probably know the story as well. In the 1500s, we used to get something at sea in particular, but also in cities, in our cities at the time, something called scurvy, and it was very similar to cancer. Once you got scurvy, it was a painful, horrible death. Your teeth went black, bits fell off you, all sorts of things, right? And then they discovered, when it was in Canada, and they discovered something that completely cured it within 24 hours. And what was that substance? Vitamin C.
100%. And if you didn't have vitamin C, was a horrible death. And you could do surgery, and you could bandage it, and you could use antibiotics, and you could do all these exotic procedures, and it wouldn't fix the freaking problem.
Correct.
Because the problem was caused by a simple nutrient deficiency, vitamin C. By the way, that's why English sailors were called limeys.
Correct.
Right? Because they figured it out, that if the British Royal Navy figured out that if they gave their sailors limes every day, nobody got scurvy. Yeah. And so they had big barrels of limes on board all the British sailing vessels, and that's why British sailors were called limeys, because they ate limes all the time.
Well, and the original story was these 3 ships got caught in a frozen river in Canada roughly in the 1500s, maybe the early 1600s, and all of the people was dying, and the captain started to have scurvy but didn't have as much because he was obviously had a better diet than the rest of the crew, right? Yeah. But out of the snow, literally, come a group of Indians. And they looked at the men, and they looked at how many had died, and they communicated, even though they didn't speak the language, we have a cure for this. The chief looked at them and knew it was, he obviously didn't call it scurvy, but he knew what they were suffering from. And he told what was known as the squaws, go to the forest and get me the leaf of the tree of life, which was a fir tree. And when they actually look at that fir tree in Canada, its leaf is packed with vitamin C. And then they mix it up and give it to them, 2 drops on each one. And within 3 days, they was all walking about happy as Larry.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't rocket science. If I had 2 tomato plants, right, and I give one of them fertilizer, and I don't give the other one fertilizer, which one's going to grow stronger? The one with fertilizer.
Yeah.
It's the same with the human body. The human body is endowed with a spiritual essence, is inhabited. Our bodies are inhabited by a spiritual force, which is intelligent. Yeah. And it is the spiritual force in the body which is running the show. And our bodies are smart because of that. Our bodies know how to fix themselves. They want to fix themselves. They're trying to fix themselves, but they need help. We need to eat food. We need to drink water. We need to breathe air. We need to put warm clothes on when we go out into cold weather. Okay, well, there's one other thing we need to do. We need to suck up the 90 essential nutrients because they're essential and they're no longer in the food that we're eating. And so unless you are supplementing with the 90 essential nutrients, you're deficient in nutrients. Correct. And if you are deficient in nutrients, it's only a matter of time until the deficiencies get to a low level and then something breaks. Yeah. And then you go to a medical doctor who doesn't know any of this, and they just throw a drug at it.
Yeah.
The drug doesn't fix the problem. The drug manages the problem. But the doctor sleeps well at night because that's all they were trained in. They don't even think a cure is possible, which is why cure is becoming a 4-letter word. You're not supposed to use the word cure anymore in medicine. And this is a tragedy of biblical proportions. After 36 years of doing this clinically, I'm here to tell you, man, most people suffer needlessly.
I know.
They're eating all the wrong food all the time. They don't know it. Their bodies are ridiculously undernutrified. And when something does break, the only option that they have is to go to the medical doctor who just throws a drug at it, which is, like putting your finger in the dike. It's not going to fix the freaking problem. It's only a matter of time until it gets worse. But this is the best system of medicine that we have in the world. And you should just trust the medical doctor because they went to medical school and you didn't. And just shut up and do what the medical doctor says. And even when the medical doctor's treatments fail you, even when they harm you, even when they bankrupt you in the United States, the leading cause of bankruptcy, medical bills.
Yeah.
People still go back to them. It's why? Because they are the only show in town. They are the only system of medicine which is legal. And it's a horrible situation. We desperately need medical freedom. That's all that we need is medical freedom. That's all that we need. That's the Zen sword that cuts through all of the bullshit and will level the playing field within 10 years, medical freedom. But I don't think we're going to get it.
So what the pharmaceuticals and I mean, when you look at the system as it is, they always. So what everyone should understand here, one thing about English common law and natural law, it's an old maxim. It goes to restraint of trade, right? So it forbids monopolies. Even the Crown was not allowed to have a monopoly, right? And what these people have done is created a medical monopoly, not just on the doctors, but also on what their treatment, instead of how we used to do it in the old days, is we need to cure this, right? And to cure it, it's obvious you're deficient in something. We need to put that back in your body so your body repairs itself.
The only thing that can cure a disease in the United States is a drug. Let me say that again. The only thing that can legally treat a disease is a drug. So if I discovered, that dandelions cured, liver cancer, it would be illegal for anybody to grow dandelions. And the only people that could make the dandelion medicine would be the pharmaceutical industry, and then they'd sell it to the patient for $1,000 a pill. That's why when you go into a health food store, it doesn't say arthritis fix. It says bone and joint support.
Yeah.
It doesn't say heartburn remedy. It says digestive support. Because you cannot link directly nor indirectly the sale of a nutritional supplement to the mitigation of a disease, because that's illegal. And that is criminal, but that is what exists. And honest to God, man, there's only a handful of doctors in the world that know what I know and that know this and that are, I think, honestly, this from the shameless department of self-promotion, I think I'm the only one in the world standing up and saying this. And, your medical doctor may be the nicest person God ever created, but they're trained in a methodology which is inconsistent with natural law and which does not teach them how to cure disease. So they don't practice health care. They practice sick care, disease management. Yeah. And that's why we have a chronic disease epidemic, because they have their heads up their ass, but they don't know it.
Well, they created their own business model. It's a bit like it's a bit like an arsonist, right? But the arsonist joins the fire brigade because he wants to be busy.
Right, 100%. There was a really interesting article in Time magazine, of all places. This was about 6 years ago. It was about butter and the relationship between Procter and Gamble, the people that made Crisco, right, and the American Heart Association. And before it, and the deal was that the Procter and Gamble would tell people that Crisco was way healthier and margarine were way healthier than butter was, and it was 9 out of 10 doctors agreed that you should stop eating butter and you should start using margarine instead, which Procter and Gamble made, and use Crisco instead of baking fat, instead of butter, and thus was born 3 generations of heart disease, and nobody went to freaking jail.
No, I agree. If you look in my fridge, all I've got is lard or fat.
Yeah.
I've got duck's fat. I've got real butter. And then people come around and go, you'll have an heart attack. I'll go, oh, shut up. Will you? They just don't get it.
Just the opposite is true. It's like, it's a worn out metaphor, but it's very much like everybody's inside this medical matrix, and it's all lies. It's all, you know what it's like, Graham? It's like the medical doctor is a colorblind artist, but they don't know that they're colorblind.
Yeah.
Right? So every time they paint a picture of, did they get it wrong? Oh, it looks like my house, but all the colors are wrong. The only time they do get it right is when they paint in black and white. And in this metaphor, that's when they do surgery, because, that's the wheelhouse of allopathic medicine. And it's interesting. That's where all the advances in medicine in the last 100 years have been made, in the surgical arena. New surgical techniques, new surgical equipment, new surgical drugs, new diagnostic stuff. I mean, the stuff they can do in surgery now is unbelievable. But that's where they shine. That's their wheelhouse. But for everything else,
well, there was one instance, and I can't remember exactly what case it was, but they was sued for this. But they made this is the only instance where, again, pharmaceuticals got involved with, I don't know, bone doctors, right, and bone surgery, right, and they made an artificial bone cement, and it then made people started to die because of this artificial bone cement. So again, they corrupted the group of people that actually knew how to fix your bones, open you up, put it together, put a pin in, let your body heal properly, and they now say, "Oh, but we've developed the pharmaceutical, we've developed a bone cement." Well, your body don't need the bone cement. It just needs assistance if 2 bits have come apart, pretty dramatically. Someone needs to put it back in, but without cutting all your veins and your arteries. And then people are skilled at doing that. And they still manage to corrupt it.
Yeah. And nobody goes to jail.
No.
Right? I mean, how many people died from Vioxx and Celebrex and nobody went to jail? Can you imagine what would happen if, and now don't even get me started on COVID. It's nuts. Nobody's going to go to jail. Can you imagine what would happen if one naturopathic doctor gave one person one medicine and it killed them? We'd be pilloried in the town square. All those quacks. But when the medical doctors do it, everybody puts their head down, genuflex at the altar, and they get a pass. And this is how bad it is, man. This is really, it's an ugly situation. And this is why my mantra wholeheartedly has and always will be, because it's true. Fire your medical doctor immediately, and seek out alternatives which are science-based and clinically verified, because they exist. You need to know about them, and your medical doctor is the wrong dog for that hunt.
So just to make sure, putting this to a legal point, right? When people talk to me, whether you've heard of a lady called Lucy Colony, who is now in prison for 31 months for sending out a tweet, right? Took her away from her family, never been in trouble with the law before. It's a disgusting, this is Soviet Britain, right? But people kept saying to me, what should she have done, Graham? I said, 1, she should have remained silent. 2, she should have sacked her solicitor. And 3, she should have sacked her barrister. And she should have stood in front of the jury and told them, I meant no harm, right? And the jury would have found her not guilty. That's it. But instead, people are brainwashed, You must listen to the solicitor. You must listen to the barrister. They know what they're talking about. No, they don't. They've been indoctrinated into a type of law, just like these doctors, that they don't mean harm, but some of them do. Some of them do get it. Yeah. And they're still taking the shilling from the corrupt system. That's all they want. They don't care how many people they kill. They're narcissistic, psychopathic. They will take the money. They will watch 100 people die screaming of cancer because they're still getting paid.
Right. It's a big bad voodoo daddy.
Yeah, no, it is.
And I think a lot of people, at least in the United States, were hoping, that Bobby Kennedy was going to fix it, but I don't think he's going to, man. I think it's lipstick on a pig. And the crazy thing here, and the hardest thing for me to convince people of, right? I mean, who was it that said it's easier to lie to people than to convince them that they've been lied to, right?
Yeah.
But the situation is that for most of the conditions that most people go to the doctor for most of the time, they don't need a private appointment with an alternative practitioner to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
They just need someone to tell them what to do. Oh, you've got arthritis? Okay, well, you should stop eating these foods. You should take these supplements into your body every day for 90 days, and then you should look to see how far back you bounce. And if you're not improving within 90 days, then you should try these homeopathic remedies. And it's like that for everything. For everything. We have an 83% success rate with the generic health recovery information that's on the website and in the book. An 83% success rate, and that's with 10,000 people. It's the same thing that happened to you.
Yeah.
Right? You had high blood pressure, you had depression, and you took the supplements and you changed what you ate and they went away.
Yeah.
You well imagine that. And this is the hardest thing for people to get. It's because everybody's so, oh, I have to go see my doctor. Well, sometimes, but most of the time you don't. Most of the time you just need someone to tell you what to do. And, well, I'm your Huckleberry and that's just my game. That's why I get up in the morning.
Yeah. No. Again, some people need life coaches, but this is about re-educating you to what your body is capable of. It is so clever. I mean, I don't see the logic in these people thinking they're cleverer than God creating a human being. It just doesn't compute to me.
It doesn't. And the systems of medicine which understand that and which support that, right? The body's natural. By the way, that's why naturopathic medicine is called naturopathic. It's not because we only use naturally occurring substances. That's not true. It's called naturopathic or naturopathic, depending on where you are, because the therapeutics are consistent with natural law. Natural law, like gravity. Well, that's a natural law. Right? Mathematics. Well, that's a natural law. The laws of chemistry. Okay, natural law. Well, there are natural laws of healing, which people should have been taught in high school.
Exactly.
But they weren't. And more's the pity.
Yeah. And even the foods, and that's the bit that people are not understanding. The way that the modern farming methods, they are destroying the mineral uptake into the plant.
Yeah. From start to finish. I mean, so the food doesn't have the stuff that your body needs to work. As a matter of fact, the aggressive agricultural practices have leached the stuff that your body needs to work out of the food.
Yeah.
When that was done on purpose. And then something breaks and you go to a medical doctor who just throws a drug at it.
Yeah.
And then you go away and nothing gets fixed. It's like painting over the mold in the wall of the house without fixing the roof and the leak. It's only going to get worse.
If you look at it from a financial system, it's like compounding interest.
Yeah, that's right.
That's exactly the model they've created with health.
Because a patient cured is a customer lost.
Exactly.
right?
It is a terrible thing. So there was a question I've got through. So there's a bit of a discussion. So I've got this lady friend, right? And she's gone through the menopause, and she keeps talking about that she's got osteoporosis. Is it where her bones are going funny and all that?
Yeah.
How can you persuade women, right, that the menopause as we know it, because it's very difficult, especially being a man, right, to talk to a woman about something as personal as the menopause, right? And because you're a man, they won't listen to you. And you say, listen, the menopause is a load of bollocks, right? They don't get what you get in these other countries. You're getting it the way you're getting it because of your diet, right? And because you are not supplementing in the correct way, right? But so what would you say to that person, and how would you, because she's also got a bit of arthritis, how would you deal with all that?
Well, I would say that menopause is not a disease, it's a time of life. Puberty is not a disease, it's a time of life. The
Right.
childbearing years are not a disease, it's a time of life, right? If you're having trouble in puberty, like really bad mood swings and really bad menstrual cramps at the beginning of your menstrual cycle, right, then there's a reason that that's happening and it can be fixed. If you have a problem during the childbearing years where your period's erratic and you get it twice a month, or you get it once every 3 months, or you get really heavy bleeds with lots of clots and lots of pain or unbelievable mood swings, it's not because you're in the childbearing years. It's because there's an imbalance in your body that needs to be addressed. If you get into menopause and you're having hot flushes every day for 6 years, and bad mood swings and your bones are getting brittle, it's not because you're in menopause, it's because there's a problem that needs to be addressed. And this is the way to think about it, that, menopause is not a disease, it's a time of life. It's a transition that your body is going through, and if your body is healthy, then it will go through that transition in about 3 months. And then you'll be in menopause and you'll be asymptomatic. You won't have hot flushes. You won't have mood swings. You won't have problems with your heart. You won't have problems with your bones, because menopause is not a disease. It's a time of life. And if you are having problems during menopause, it's because there's an imbalance in the body that needs to be addressed. And you can pay me now, or you can pay me later, because if you don't fix the problem now, it will get worse. And it will definitely get worse under the care of the medical doctor, who doesn't know their ass from their elbow when it comes to the problems inherent with an imbalanced body during menopause.
So why is it that osteoporosis and arthritis, especially in women, seems to be so linked? And what is it that they can do?
Well, it's
apart from not eat the 12 foods.
Yeah. So life is a great big bowl of stress. And when the body experiences stress, there's only two possible outcomes. And I'm talking about a negative stress, not positive stress. Like exercise is a positive stress.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a negative stress. When the body experiences negative stress, there's only two possible outcomes. The body defends it and the stress bounces off, or the stress gets through the defenses and destabilizes the system. When the body becomes destabilized by stress, it compensates and generates a symptom. The symptom can be anything.
Yeah.
It can be depression, it can be anxiety, it can be bone loss, it can be arthritis, it can be hot flushes of menopause, it can be a tumor, right? It can be an eczematous eruption it can be anything. Well, when the body becomes destabilized and generates a symptom, it then tries to fix itself. But most of the time when we are adults, the body cannot fix itself because it doesn't have the essential nutrients to do it. It doesn't have the raw materials it needs to do it, so the symptom persists. So the mood swings persist, the hot flushes persist in menopause, the bone loss persists, the arthritis persists. It's not getting any better. So what does the person do? They go to the medical doctor, and what does the medical doctor do? He throws a drug at it that suppresses the symptom. So you get an antidepressant, you get a pain medicine for the arthritis, you get an anti-inflammatory for the arthritis, you get bisphosphonate in order to increase bone density. But the way that the bisphosphonates work is they allow old bone to grow in the body, and the body doesn't reject old bone like it tries to. So 3 years later, your bones are filled with old bone. Your bone density looks great, but old bone is brittle, and you step off of the curb and your ankle snaps in two, or the wind blows too hard and your leg breaks because your body is filled with old bone. Why is it filled with old bone? Because that's what the drug did. And nobody goes to jail. So what holistic doctors do in this situation, we've got a person who's destabilized, they're symptomatic, and they're stuck. Instead of just trying to manage the problem or suppress the symptoms, we generate therapeutics that push the body back into a state of balance. Because when the body recovers its balance, the symptoms disappear. They disappear, so the bones normalize. The mood swings normalize, the hot flushes go away, because a healthy person doesn't have those things. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. But so in menopause, there's an extracurricular stress that women experience. It's the change in their hormonal status. Right? It's a time of life. They're transitioning from the childbearing years, being able to make a new human being in their body, to not being able to do that anymore. And that's a stressful time. It's a change. But the body, if it's healthy, will be able to navigate that change without, you get symptoms, then they go away. And you get symptoms, and then they go away because, well, it's a transition time and it's an extracurricular stress, but the body can handle it. But because everybody's bodies are undernutrified and everybody's eating the wrong food all of the time, when that stress hits a menopausal woman, they can't handle it, and it destabilizes them, and then they become symptomatic and they become stuck. Not because they're old, not because they have a bad gene, and not because they're in menopause, but because their body ran out of the stuff that it needed to handle that extra stress. It's that simple.
So in other countries, if you can probably name the other countries where they don't get that, the women don't get that, and they don't get it because they are neutralized in or mineralized.
100%. It all goes back to the diet and what people are eating and what is in the food that those people are eating. Weston Price, he was a famous dentist, and there's a Weston Price Foundation somewhere in the world. He did remarkable research with indigenous people. I think he looked at people either in Africa or in South America, right? People that like indigenous people.
Yeah.
And he tracked the health of their teeth and their overall health when they lived in their natural habitat. Everything was fine. The kids had healthy teeth. Nobody needed braces. Nobody had cavities. It was the perfect teeth. And then when they left the indigenous area and went into society, right, into the metropolitan world, all their kids had really bad teeth, and their health started to decline. And Weston Price postulated that it was because of what they were eating in the Western society, right, in the commercialized world, as opposed to what they were eating in the indigenous world. And he was half correct. He postulated that they were eating crappy food, and that was what caused them to be unhealthy. But he overlooked one thing. The indigenous cultures all heated and cooked with wood. And they would collect the wood ash and put the gray ash on the outside of the fire in their gardens. And they would put the white potash, which was directly underneath the pot that the food was cooking in, because it was white, because there was extra heat in that part of the fire. They would put the white potash in their soups and in their breads and in their stews. And wood ash is 99.99999% minerals. So they were mineralizing their food with the wood ash, and that was what gave them healthy teeth and healthy bodies. But when they left the jungle, they stopped putting wood ash in their food. They became undermineralized and they got sick. And Weston Price missed that completely, and more's the pity.
Well, isn't that amazing? So that, again, you probably don't know much about this. You do, because it was in America in the 1960s, and that's that DMSO, right?
Yeah.
So I used that. I had a problem with my Achilles heel, right? And if it starts to play up a little bit, this is a gel, it's 90%. But DMSO is tree sap.
Yeah.
And then I put it on my heel, and my heel went back to normal.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't, it was painful. It was doing all this. I couldn't get rid of it. I had it for months, and I thought, I'm going to try it. And I put it on, and then my heel, my Achilles heel, which was swollen, and it still sticks out slightly, right? But when you put that on, it's an anti-inflammatory. It does all these things, and it just helps you heal.
I wonder how many podiatrists know about that or recommend it. Well, I'll tell you how many. 0.
Exactly.
Right? And see, this is the problem, that curative systems of natural medicine are sold to an unassuming, uneducated public as quack medicine. And after doing this for 36 years, man, from a completely objective point of view, I'm here to tell you that the only people practicing quack medicine have MDs after their name. It's not all of the MDs, but the only quack medicine that's practiced in the world is by allopathic doctors, and they get away with it because they can.
Yeah. No, well, again, there's so much out there. Let me just make sure that people understand, because I'm on your website at the moment, and I just want to. So I've just been talking, for example, we've just been talking about osteoporosis, right, which is there. And if you click on that, it will come up on the screen, health recovery protocol, all of this information. So everything that you want from Dr. Glidden's 36 years of knowledge and actual experience of doing this. Look at that, look. So again, bone and joint health goes through, there's a video on there you could watch, and then it tells you below that Dr. Glidden's health recovery protocol for those diagnosed with osteoporosis, right? Then it says MD, medical doctor, calls unknown, a function of aging and hormone loss, right? MD, and then and then they're telling you blah blah blah. Then as you go through the discussion of this, it then says my recommendation, in addition to the essential 90, which is basically that, right? And it's got all of it in there. And then obviously you need EFA plus, and there's some other bits that I like. Zeratest, right, which is it helps your body create the hormones, right? And some of my lady friends have said that's very good, that stuff, Graham. So, plant-derived minerals, or sherry mins, or strawberry kiwi mins, or ultimate mineral caps. Now that's the other thing that I've got here: ultimate mineral caps. 1 bottle per 100 pounds per month, 100 pound of body weight, that is. Beyond Osteo FS liquid, 1 bottle per 100 pounds per month. And glucose cell caps 240, 4 caps twice a day with food, right? So that will, again, are you saying that you would continue with that for the rest of your life, or is that something you would continue? So the essential 90s.
Yeah. So somewhere on the website, there's an explanation for how to use this stuff. But the basic protocol is, if you have a health condition, for most health conditions, it's a 90-day trial with these protocols. And inside of 90 days, if you notice an improvement, then you just maintain the protocol until you're out of the woods.
Yeah.
If after 90 days, nothing has changed at all, anywhere, I'll eat my hat, number one. And number two, then you need a private appointment with an alternative healthcare practitioner. We've given these protocols to 10,000 people over 9 years.
Yeah.
With an 83% success rate.
Okay.
So, I'm not saying that this is guaranteed to work. It's not. It's guaranteed to work 83% of the time. And this is why we need medical freedom. Well, so for instance, the only system of medicine which is curative, the use of a medicinal substance, a medicine to provoke a cure, is homeopathic medicine. Homeopathy is a curative system of medicine.
Okay.
And right now there are 600 homeopathic medicines which we know about. Only 600. If homeopathic medicine had not been slandered and bastardized and made illegal in the early 1900s, if they just left everybody alone and we had medical freedom and homeopathic medicine was not messed with, not made illegal, the homeopathic hospitals were still up and running, then by now there would be at least 2,000, maybe 3,000 homeopathic medicines that would be available. And we'd have a much more robust understanding of what to do to help people recover their health. I think that's one of the biggest downsides to the monopolization of the medical market, is the research into curative medical disciplines stopped. And we're really behind the 8 ball now because of it. And it's a really big problem.
Yeah, no, I agree entirely. We've got to resolve this, and we certainly, one way we need to solve this problem in law, and we need to solve the problem with the medical profession, and it is a massive problem, because people are dying because of this medical monopoly and the pharmaceuticals and these dark personality, and that means psychopaths, narcissists, sadists, Machiavellian types who have got control of that system, and we need to take it back from them.
And the irony of the situation is that in a free medical market, and I don't mean free, nobody pays for it, I mean free, equal access to all systems of medicine.
Yeah. Free market.
People would gravitate towards what works. Naturopathic medicine works. Homeopathic medicine works. So within a couple of years, most MDs would be out of a job, because nobody would go to them if they could go to somebody who actually delivered curative medicine. And this is why we don't have medical freedom. Because if we did have medical freedom, within 10 years, the whole pharmaceutical industry house of cards would collapse.
Yeah.
And they know that. And that's why they're so aggressive at painting myself and my colleagues as quacks and making the medicine that we practice illegal or really difficult for people to gain access to.
Yeah.
It's a problem. Now, look, we don't have the answer to everything. Last year, I think I had three patients that died, right? Because the therapeutics were not able to reach them. They weren't able to provoke a cure. It's not a guaranteed system of medicine, but it's very sophisticated. It's consistent with natural law. It has a wonderful track record, and it's the best option that people have right now. It's not 100% guaranteed. Nothing is. But if we did have medical freedom, then there would be so much research poured into this system of medicine that in a couple of years, we'd be really, really, really far down the track towards helping people be healthy. But remember, this is not inside of the business model of the pharmaceutical industry.
Well, let me just say this to people listening, and there is a video. When we finish this show, I will show a particular video, and it's something I've been telling everyone. And I'm just going to give people an understanding of one of the things that President Trump is doing. Right now, there's a lot of strategic stuff there. To win a war, sometimes you have to do things that people won't like. Right, people need to understand that. Right, but to get from A to B to C, one of the things that President Trump is doing, he has broke the mold with what typically the British have done with the United States of America, which it really has got control of America. And America he's now going back to a tariff system. It's going back to a non-taxation of the people system. And in doing so, it is creating protections for its own market. And part of that in the future will be someone will say, we need to relook at this medical system because what we need is healthy people.
Right.
And as part of that system, it will start to slot in place. And that's what I think will happen, but it's not going to happen overnight.
I hope you're right. I mean, I hope that you're right. I think you're a glass is half full kind of a guy. At least that's the feeling that I get from you. And I hope that you're right. There's so much promise here. And, people are destroyed by lack of knowledge and people are suffering needlessly. You wouldn't believe the things I've seen people recover from. You wouldn't believe it. It's the best kept secret in conventional medicine. And everybody needs to know what I and my colleagues know. What they just do.
Well, just to let everyone know, my cousin Janice, 4 years ago, she was diagnosed with something. In America, they call it the Terminator. She had small cell lung cancer, and she had 6 weeks to live. So I went up there and I said, there's 3 things that I will give you, and I want you to take it every day. I won't say on this show what it was, right? I said, but don't tell your oncologist. And she said, okay. And she took these 3 things, and within 6 months, her scans had showed that her cancer had virtually disappeared. Right?
Yeah.
Here's the kicker.
Yeah.
She carried on taking the booster jabs, and she died at 6:30 this Sunday of brain cancer. And the reason was because she trusted the government who kept telling her, take this jab, you need it, you've got cancer.
And nobody went to jail.
And nobody went to jail. So again, she was cured. That there wasn't a problem with her. Everything was sweet as a nut. I didn't know until recently that she carried on taking them jabs, right? And every time I go around my dad's, who's 95, and my stepmom's, I don't feel well when I come out of there, right? And I mean, literally. And then they've been taking the booster jabs.
Yeah, crazy.
And yeah, it's just mad. And people, there's enough evidence. One day we are going to come back and make sure that these people do go to jail for what they've done.
Well, I hope so. I mean, certainly that's a good start. What do you call a bus full of lawyers and medical doctors at the bottom of the ocean? A good start.
Yeah. Fertilizer for the whales. That's exactly what we need. And our sea angels, which are dolphins, will make sure they stay at the bottom of the sea as well.
Yeah, that's right. You gotta love the dolphins, man. You're very fortunate to be spending time in that environment. I'm really jealous.
Yeah, no, it is lovely. But I mean, again, I'm going back out there when I can, and then I'll actually be sailing. And just to make sure everyone's aware of this, if there is anyone in the world that listens to this and knows of anyone who has got a minimum of a 40-foot motor sailor yacht, that they're too old, they don't want to do it, and they want the yacht to go around the world, and they want to donate it to me, please feel free to donate it, and I promise you I'll look after it, and it will sail around the world. You never know. If you put it out to the universe, someone might say, here, hang on a minute, I've had a boat sitting there for 4 years, I'm too old now, you can have it, right? But as long as you do what you're going to do. And I go, yeah, I will. It's a freedom yacht, and there'll be a fleet of us all coming over to America, raising the English flag, saying, yeah, we want freedom.
I'm all in. Count me in, Captain.
Should be good fun. Right, so I will send you an email. I'm going to make some inquiries and send you an email about that package. But again, I'm really grateful. We will, because we want to cover a couple of other issues now as well, which I will do briefly because to do with a court case. And we're going to do, so next month we'll do probably a whole show on questions and answers because I enjoy that. And I know you enjoy the interaction with the people.
Yeah, perfect. Whatever I can do to help move the needle, whatever you need, just let me know. I'm all in.
Okay, thank you very much. But I am going to say, is there anything that you want to say to? Don't forget, everyone, the link to Dr. Peter Glidden's website that gives you all the information that you need, and you get a link to Dr. Glidden, and you do consultations worldwide.
Oh yeah, I treat people all over the world. Plus, as my subscribers, I have 2 hours of live Q&A every week.
Right, and you're on Rumble as well.
Yeah. So.
And you're on Twitter. They took it. I'm building up my Twitter again. They took it down.
Yeah, they took mine down too.
I'll keep getting attacked.
Yeah, they took mine down twice.
So that's what I mean. They know the truth tellers are the ones who get taken off the system. Yeah,
it's a crazy world, but we do our best. I appreciate everything that you do. Don't ever stop, and I'll see you next time.
No, thank you very much. Be lucky, my friend. There you go, Dr. Peter Glidden. Right, I absolutely love him. I'll tell you. He's one of them people. He's a bit like Captain Tim, right? Captain Tim was like, built this business. He left Yorkshire, right, and he's still got the blood of a Yorkshireman. Goes to New Zealand, builds a business up, lovely business. They then starts attacking his freedom. He says, "F you," right? But meet someone in the freedom movement who's getting old and says, "Listen, I'll sell you this yacht and I'll sell it to you cheaper as long as you promise you are going around the world in it as a freedom yacht." And he went, "No, that's exactly what I do. Never driven a yacht and never been a captain on a boat before. Never knew anything about sailing, right? It just gets on it, turns the engine on, sets it all up, puts it in and goes, bosh." And then he says, "How do I put that sail up?" And then starts sailing it and actually doing it, right? Everyone. He got all the way from New Zealand to England, then went round England, and then he went back across, and now he's going back, and now he's going across to America, and then he'll go through different areas, and then he's hopping his way back. And I wish, I don't know, I may end up being on that boat, but I wish I would. It's one of them things in life where you think to yourself, if I won the lottery tomorrow, right, there's things that I would do that would be just for us, right? And it's just fantastic. But I just want to make sure everyone's there. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Graham. No worries. So as a brief, I'm going to show you a couple of things at the moment because I need to just briefly show you this. I did tell you I was doing this. And again, there is a GoFundMe for this because we need to get some of this money in. I can't remember where the money's going to. It's either going to the ECP, but I need to recover some of my own money from this. But I'm going to show you this on the screen. And don't forget, I ain't got I ain't got a villa in Spain, and I don't drive a Rolls Royce or any of them things. And one of our wonderful audience has literally just donated a motorbike to me as well, which I've got to try and have a look at. But I'm going to show you this, right? He didn't want to. He said, I want the motorbike to go to somebody who'd use it. And he said, I know you had to, during lockdown, you had to sell your motorbike and pay your rent and all that. And he said, like, this bike's been sitting there for a few years. I can't use it. It's got various issues. And he said, do you want this bike? And I've looked at it and gone, wow, right? It needs a little bit of work on it because it sat there for a while. But that would be me, revving about. And I'm a bit, I love motorbikes. Anyway, Sarah, I said to you, we had made this application and I've put it in. And I'm just going to make sure it's now been accepted at a court. I've got to now send this information out to all of the people. I've got to print this off and send it off to a number of different people. Leader of the English Constitution Party and candidate, right? Right. So, do you remember when I said they'd taken off Emma Gilthorpe and they've replaced it with just the Royal Mail Group Limited, and they're basically taking her. This is a private right injury. So what I've done is made the application, and it's cost us money to do it, to put it back, right? I have a right under CPR 2310 to vary the order sealed on the 28th of the 5th, 2025. I respectfully request that the respondent's name, Emma Gilthorpe, and Royal Mail Group Limited are substituted as one, i.e. Emma Gilthorpe, brackets, Royal Mail Group Limited. Emma Gilthorpe is the CEO, and personally, as well as vicariously liable for private right injury caused by Royal Mail Group Limited employees, right? So there's the information. Again, the High Court judge is going to have a look at it. Hopefully they're going to say, okay, we ain't got a problem with that. But you can tell that they don't like it, right? So just to make sure all of that information is on there. And then let me stop sharing that. Let's see if I can go back. So there's the information. And again, High Court of Justice, Parliamentary Immunity it was murders trying to get this in, but it was received 2nd of June. So they give me, you've only got 7 days to make the application. I filled out the application, I've sent it off. I spent hours on the phone trying to pay the fee again, right? I'm gonna have to find out. There's got to be a simpler way of doing it. I don't know how to do that because they're not doing it intentionally. They just don't know. But it's very difficult to do that. Allegedly, Steve, she's on 540k a year. That's exactly. You can't be paid 500. And by the way, people, let me see if I can find that out. Maybe someone can bring that up, right? Anyone want to do a quick search and see how much the Chief Constable of Cheshire Police gets as a salary? And remember that when he retires, he gets a £500,000, roughly, tax-free lump sum as part of his pension. It's a cash payment he's paid when he retires, right? And people are not realising why these people are doing all this is because they're all sticking around at getting the money and you're the one losing your rights. So she's getting 540 grand a year. Now, I want to briefly show you something. There was a video put out by someone. I'm going to put it in a message for everyone. Go and put messages on there. If this guy wants to talk to me, loads of people sent me messages and said, this bloke's done this video. I just want to make sure everyone's aware of it. So here it is, this video. Fraud unravels all, right? And what he's done is he's put this, he showed our website and he's making reference to something that I've spoken about many a times on here, which is Appendix D, right? And he went, oh, this is a great video. I'm not knocking the video at all. In fact, I am happy that he's done this, right? And if he wants to talk to me about it, the reason why it's referenced as Appendix D and there wasn't a massive explanation on Appendix D is because Appendix D was exactly that. It was showing the evidence of what I was talking about in a broader case, and the case was torture for Charlie Staples. You remember when we went through the process and then went for appeal and all that? And they didn't like this. And then when we've put it forward with the tort as well, they removed it from the tort case. They know that what we're talking about here is absolutely bang on the money. So just to make sure, if anyone wants me to, if you want to go on this guy's website, you can. And just say, if you want to speak to DD about it, and then I'll explain to him. But his video is fantastic because he's gone through the explanation. And he's used some sort of AI, which I wasn't familiar with. I don't trust AI and law, to be fair, only because it hasn't got access to the database of information that we've got access to. Most of these AI systems take their information from Wikipedia, which ain't a good idea. And people don't realise you really have to try and know what you. It's about. I'll try and say this to people using AI. And let me just make sure everyone can see this. By the way, there's me talking about it. It's on the screen, and I ain't shared it. So using AI is a bit like, imagine you was at school and you worked out a sum and you went through the workings of the sum and you done it all by hand, right? And then you use a calculator to check yourself. Well, really and truthfully, the combination of AI and and actually knowing the detail yourself or where to get this stuff. And AI can then assist you. You may have forgotten something, and it goes boom, and it brings it up. That's the positives. But it should always be used in conjunction with, not as the sole thing, because AI, especially Chat GDP or whatever it's called, lies, and so does Grok, right? Because it's only as good. There's an old saying in data, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out, right? So if it's taking this information from Wikipedia, which is corrupt, right, to the core, it's certainly not an encyclopedia. It's a load of nonsense, right? So he's on that, right? So he gets a 2/3 pension. So if he's on 170,000 a year, I could go and work out what his pension payment is, and everyone here would go, "Wow, that's his pension is more than what a normal working man or a bricklayer would get." It's disgusting, right? What they're doing, and that's why they do it. And by the way, it's just the same as police constables now. Police constables get, I think, anywhere between 30 and 80 grand tax free in their back pocket, tax free, right? And then they get their big pension payment, and that's why they do what they do. It is standard communist thing, right? And then they won't speak out because they can lose their pension. His channel said they committed treason, Graham. Yeah, they have committed treason. And again, if you go back to, I think it's one of the ones I've put out now. Let me go back and see if I can see this. I don't know what's going on there, but there's a couple of things I need to show you. Things are heating up, and you obviously are all aware of another situation that we've got currently. That the United Kingdom, via its proxy of Ukraine, has attacked Russia. I've been telling everyone, right? The Russians broke free, right, from the Soviet system, and the Soviet system was put in place by the British and the Bolsheviks, right? Don't be under any illusions about what's going on here. And the British system is, in effect, an extension of the Roman system, and the Roman system was the first ever communist system. That is them and us, right? They had two classes of people, and then below that they had the slaves, and then what it created was debt slavery, right? Every system, by the way, has been destroyed by usury, and again, the Christians stand against usury, just to make sure everyone's aware of that. We can do some of them things. So there's a lot of information coming out there. Take their pensions, DD. No, I agree with. Listen, I've got no issues with taking their pensions, but I do want to show you another video. Right, so that video is really fantastic. I could play it for you, but really, and truthfully, people should go and watch that. If you haven't seen it, I've got loads of messages. I don't know how many. He's had 2,500 views in one day. He's got 784 subscribers. I might subscribe to him. Yeah, there you go. I've subscribed to him. So if he wants to contact me, he can. And he can easily contact me. The bit that made me laugh, he'd used it and said anyone should send this to Graham Moore, right? Listen, you can go and get my details off the website, right? It's not as if I'm difficult to contact. Trust me, I've got 4 respondents contacting me at the moment. Right, it's not as if I don't disappear overnight. I'm here, right? And there's some other bits and pieces I need to show people. So that needs to be going out there so you can all understand what it is. And again, we need to be spreading the word that we're English constitutionalists, right? The English are not the bad guys here. The bad guys, in effect, are the British, right? And it's an indoctrination of mind, right? And people have seen it. And someone said to me the other day, I think we're winning. I said, listen, you've only got to go and look at the demonstrations and see how many English flags there are, right? To understand that people are getting it. The Scots, the Irish, The Northern Irish, the Welsh, and again, we've got the seminar coming up at the end of this month in Northern Ireland, which we're hoping Charlie Staples is going to be able to make it and get over there as well. But there's another video here, right? And that's this video, right? Ukraine nuclear gambit backfires. How deep state warmongers risk everything to stop Trump. Exactly, right? Now, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to run it, hopefully. Now, I've actually spoken to these people in the past in the background, right? And what I did was I said, listen, you've got to stop blaming the English. It's not the English, it's the British. And now, listen to them. They've started to talk about the British regime, right? It's not the English, it's not the Scots, it's not the Welsh, it's not the Irish. It is the British ruling class, an oligarch, right? And them people were the people who put in place the Bolshevik system in Russia and the Bolshevik system in China, right? And I believe people have started to realise, and now America is taking back control because it's now giving. So again, the difference between Nigel Farage and Donald Trump is protecting the people and especially the working class, right? He's championing the working class to say you should be keeping, and he's going to get rid of. He's going to give people back jobs. He's bringing back the industries, right? If you go and watch this video, hopefully I can play it. And
over the weekend, Ukraine launched what they are calling Operation Spiderweb, drone attacks deep inside Russia targeting nuclear-capable bombers. They claim they destroyed 1/3 of Russia's strategic bomber inventory. Ukrainian forces also blew up Russian bridges with trains and civilians on them, killing 7 people. The deranged Washington Post actually gloated that this attack was equivalent to Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor. I'm Barbara Boyd, and for decades, I've been tracking the British financial empire's war against American sovereignty. I've documented how they orchestrated the coup against Trump's first presidency, and now I'm watching them deploy the same playbook, but this time with nuclear war in the mix. While the mainstream media celebrates Ukraine's, quote, bold strike, they're completely missing the real story and the danger. This isn't about Ukrainian resourcefulness or military strategy. This is about a desperate British-led operation to drag us into World War III, timed perfectly with Wall Street's economic assault on Donald Trump's agenda. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how Operation Spiderweb connects to the bond market attacks on Trump's economic plan, why Senators Graham and Blumenthal need to answer some very hard questions, and most importantly, how we defeat both of these attacks on American sovereignty. Let's start with what Operation Spiderweb really is, because the name itself tells you everything you need to know about who's behind it. This attack has been planned for over a year and a half, according to the Ukrainian. It comes as Russia advances across all fronts in Ukraine, with Ukraine facing complete defeat within a few months. It's like the defeated forces taking a cyanide pill to avoid surrender, except this cyanide pill sets the world on a course toward nuclear war. The timing is everything here. The attack happened one day before peace talks commenced in Turkey, and they're still going forward. Think about that. Ukraine launches its most provocative attack ever, targeting nuclear-capable bombers just as negotiations are about to begin. That's not military strategy. That's not creating an advantage. That's sabotage. First, Ukraine said the U.S. green-lighted this. Then they said they alone did it. General Mike Flynn got it exactly right when he posted on X, quote, if Ukraine is willing to conduct strikes with strategic consequences without notifying the White House, we are no longer allies with coordination issues. We are co-belligerents flying blind. This wasn't a bold action, it was brash. Ukraine's short-term win could be the world's long-term loss. But here's what Flynn was too diplomatic to say directly. This has the British fingerprints all over it. The PR name, Operation Spiderweb, is typical British military branding. There has been story after story about how deeply embedded British special operations teams are with the Ukrainians, about how the British are the real people running this thing. The British defense minister just prepared for their annual defense review by bloviating about how the UK has to urgently prepare for war with Russia. And here's the kicker. Senators Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal were just in Ukraine slobbering all over Zelensky immediately prior to this attack. Graham praised the Ukrainian operation this morning and said, if you want peace, pressure China. He should have been denying any involvement by the United States. That's what Secretary of State Rubio did, I believe, in a direct conversation with Foreign Minister Lavrov yesterday. Graham claims 80 senators are ready to vote this week on new sanctions against Russia, completely ignoring President Trump's drive for peace. The question every American should be asking is, did Graham and Blumenthal know about Operation Spiderweb? Did they give Zelensky the green light for this madness? Because if they did, they need to resign from the Senate. Any senators aligned with them need to resign from what I'm calling the Committee to Blow Up the World. This is exactly what Winston Churchill tried to do in 1945 with Operation Unthinkable, using captured Nazi divisions to attack Russia even before World War II ended. The British military rejected that plan as insane then, but the British Empire never gave up the idea of absorbing Russia into their system and are pursuing that now. Now, while Ukraine was launching missiles at Russian nuclear bombers, Wall Street and the City of London launched their own coordinated attack, this time on Trump's economic agenda. The news media is giddy about the trade court decision attacking Trump's tariffs, authored by an obscene coalition of libertarian Republican lawyers and Jacobin Democratic state attorney generals before a fixed and rigged court. But that's just the opening salvo, and they are the frontmen. The real attack is coming through what they call bond vigilantes, the central bankers, large insurance funds, major hedge funds, and offshore money havens who dominate the bond market. They're deliberately roiling that market to make it prohibitively expensive for America to fund economic growth. Here's how they're doing it. They're claiming Trump's big, beautiful bill increases rather than decreases the deficit, and that this debt is unsustainable. They say this is creating instability in the bond market, making it way more expensive for the country to borrow money. Their argument is complete nonsense, and here's why. The Congressional Budget Office is calculating Trump's economic impact with rules that amount to using a Ouija board to plan your kid's future. The CBO assumes there will only be 1.8% GDP growth under Trump's policies. Think about how insane that is. Trump's team can already show 3 to 4% growth based on his tariffs, the trillions in new investment he's pulled into the United States, and the steps he's taking to rebuild our productive economy. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent schooled a very hostile Margaret Brennan on Sunday's Face the Nation by showing her how Trump is already producing $4 trillion in new revenues that will neutralize the $4 trillion in new debt the CBO claims. Bessent pushed back hard, pointing out that everything the media and Wall Street said would happen because of tariffs hasn't happened. Inflation is down, the trade deficit had been cut in half, real wages are up, economic expectations are at all-time highs.
Right, just me to butt in here because I don't like running the whole video because this is also going out on YouTube and they get funny about it. But did you listen to what she just said? Now, look what they've done to the United Kingdom. They've shut down our steel industry. They've shut down our coal industry. They've shut down all our manufacturing industries. They've shut down everything, and they've taken away your jobs. And what Gordon Brown and the Fabians in particular, the Marxist communist system, again, he sold our gold and announced it to the market. We lost billions and billions because of that. That was our money. And again, these people seek to destroy England. That's why they're regionalising England. And they're trying to create this war. And there will be a war in England unless the people actually vote. And I'm going to carry on with this video, but the lady is completely correct that everything that they said would happen has been proven to be wrong, and they knew it. They're in panic mode, and that's why the British are attacking, using their proxy of Ukraine, Russia, because Russia has said, we're not part of your system, we don't want to be part of your system, right? Nor does America. As far as I know, nor does China, but China is part of it because it's still part of a communist system.
So why are they doing this? Because these are the same people who left us with one working aluminum plant in the whole country. These are the people who made us dependent on foreign steel, something Donald Trump just began to turn around with the U.S. Steel Nippon deal in Pennsylvania. The bond vigilantes can't profit under Donald Trump's American system revolution in the same gargantuan way. They made their fortunes by sucking our economy dry, shipping our jobs overseas, and keeping us dependent on foreign production. Trump's vision of energy dominance, manufacturing renaissance, and technological leadership threatens their entire business model and their way of life. Here's what they don't want you to understand. We've solved debt crises before through exponential productive growth using American system methods. We had huge deficits at the end of the Revolutionary War, at the end of the Civil War, during the Depression. Every time we solved it the same way, by triggering massive productive growth that generated the revenues to pay down the debt while building a stronger physical economy. The way we defeat the bond vigilantes and solve the debt problem is through real economic growth, starting with energy dominance, as the president has said. Right now, we're using every bit of energy we generate. We have no surplus. Our grid is broken down. All the new technology, however, that Trump is bringing online for our growth requires massive amounts of electricity. China right now has a huge energy surplus and is way ahead of us in powering national growth. The president says they're now withholding the critical rare earth materials we need to begin to succeed. They totally understand our vulnerabilities. The renewed electrification of our country is urgent and requires every form of government and private mobilization we can muster. Advanced nuclear and fusion power are the new Sputniks, the next frontier we have to conquer. But we won't get there if people listen to the same voices that almost destroyed us and to continue to seek our destruction. This is why the attacks on Ukraine and the bond market are coordinated. The British Empire and their Wall Street allies know that if Trump succeeds in creating energy dominance and a manufacturing renaissance, their game is over. They can't control a prosperous, energy-independent America, which is moving forward, the way they can control a dependent, deindustrialized one. The Ukraine escalation is designed to force Trump into a war that would derail his economic agenda and undermine completely his popular support. The bond market attack is designed to make that economic agenda too expensive to implement. It's a pincer movement. Military pressure from one side, financial pressure from the other. The British Empire and their London, Brussels, and Wall Street allies are making, thus, their final desperate play to maintain control. They're willing to risk nuclear war and economic collapse rather than allow Trump to succeed in rebuilding America as an industrial superpower. The next few weeks will be critical. Will Congress stand with Trump's peace negotiations, or will they vote for more sanctions and escalation? Will Americans demand answers about who knew what about Operation Spiderweb? Will we support Trump's economic agenda of unparalleled growth, or will we give credence to the financial predators who are out to destroy us? This is our moment to choose. I'll be filling out this picture in post on the Promethean Action website this week. Now, your comments supporting these updates make my day, but we need to be building this platform out to our immediate goal of 1,000 paid newsletter subscribers. We need the funding to make more educational videos for those who are just waking up to the war for our country and need a scout and a compass in this new land.
Hopefully you can still hear me, right? What I'm going to do, if you can hear me, I'm for some reason this has gone pear-shaped, so I am going to now you can see me again. For some reason, this system is playing up, but I don't know why. Right, so they definitely don't like what we're doing. 100%, they don't like what we're doing, and nothing's changed with the settings, etc. They're just playing up with what we're doing. So just making sure you've got all that information. Now, crucially, before I finish the show, I'm going to show you this. Touch wood, it's going to work without you losing me off the screen again, right? The Guardian, this is 20 years old. Judge attacks voting system in Banana Republic, right? Now, these gentlemen that you're seeing on your screen, it's on my screen. It's not very. Let's see if I can bring it down a little bit. You might be able to see them a little bit better. Right, I'll bring it down like that. Now, these people attempted to defraud a vote. A High Court judge ruled today that there had been widespread fraud surrounding the election of 6 Labour Party councillors in Birmingham in the last year's local elections. This is 20 years ago. Richard Morey, QC, sitting as an election commissioner, said he was not satisfied vote rigging had occurred. He was satisfied vote rigging had occurred in the run-up to the June ballot. Launching a scathing attack on the current postal voting regulations, the judge said the system is wide open to fraud, and any would-be political fraudster knows that it's wide open to fraud. Responding to an earlier refusal from the government to overhaul the postal voting rules, he said, anybody who has sat through the case I have just tried and listened to evidence of electoral fraud that would disgrace a banana republic would find this statement surprising, right? Currently, a coalition of Conservatives, 39 seats, Lib Dems, 28, run the council, and the Labour opposition has 53 seats. Mr. Morey finished hearing the second of 2 petitions raised against the councillors last month. The first petition was brought against the Borsley Green ward representatives Sharif Ahmed Shah Jahan and Awaz Khan by the People's Justice Party. So the People's Justice Party, very similar to the English Constitution Party. I've never looked them up. Someone should look them up for us. The 3 men walked out of the hearing on the first day after Mr. Morey refused an application for an adjournment to allow them further time to prepare their case. The second petition was raised against 3 Ashton representatives, Mohammed Islam, Mohammed Afzal, Mohammed Qazi, by the local Liberal Democratic supporters. All 6 councillors strenuously denied rigging the ballots and being improperly elected during the trials, which were held at Birmingham and Midland Institute. So they created this court there and lasted for 4 weeks. The court heard evidence of wholesale theft of votes in the city, with thousands of postal ballots being diverted to a safe house where they were filled in on an industrial scale. Petitioners accused the defendants of using forgery and deception to collect and amend thousands of votes. The petitioners also accused the city's returning officer and chief executive, Lynn Homer, so understand this, of failing to discharge her duties in accordance with electoral law. Right? I think they've done her for malfeasance in public office. In a statement, the Labour Party said all 6 councillors had been suspended from the party. This is all bollocks. This is 20 years old. It's still going on, right? A vigorous disciplinary process, like the ones the old Bill used, would take place with the 6 councillors involved suspended with immediate effect. The Labour Party expects the highest standards of integrity and honesty of its councillors and campaign workers. These standards have not been met in Ashton and Bosley Green wards in Birmingham, he said. The hearings were viewed as test cases because of complaints about postal voting irregularities in other parts of the country. The ruling comes on a record number of electors applying for postal votes ahead of general election, right? It's not just that, it's the people who count them. And again, all that information is on there. People got to go and have a look at that. Let me see if I can actually grab that and show you. I'll put that out there if anyone wants to go and see it. So that's why it's so important that what we're doing, because people don't stand up, right? And what we're doing is actually standing up against these crooked people and what they're doing. And again, if you go back to this video, this thing, you can see who they are, right? And again, we had a deposit, and what they're trying to do is show people you've got no support because you're English, right? You should all know that that is not true, and we are being destroyed by a British system. It's almost like the Roman system destroying itself, and I just want to make sure everyone understands that. And before I do anything else, I'm also going to show you, I showed it at the beginning, I'll show it now as well. If you go and speak to Jonathan, right, so on that little thing, it comes up. Don't forget to tell him, it's really important that you all explain to him that when you go there and you ask him questions and you're looking at his products, etc., that you tell him, I've come from Graham, the full English show, right? Just say that and he'll know. There it is. So tangerine, and you've got all these different things here. Let me see if I can't get rid of that again. It's really annoying. There's the tangerine. There's the. Do you remember he spoke about the plant-derived minerals? There's the other one. That's the actual essential 90. Osteo FX is the one that you can take to assist you with anything. It is quite expensive, but to be fair, selenium, there's lots of different stuff in there. Tangy orange, all these different things are in there. EFA, and again, just make sure that you use that website. So again, I'm going to put that out in the link is in the description of the video. I'm going to post that and put that across, right? And then what I'm going to do, let me cut that out, right? Let's see what else I'm doing on here. So everyone's got that. Stop sharing. I hope everyone has had a good show. Listen, what's going on with Ukraine at the moment? I don't know. The external factions, meaning the United States of America, particularly President Trump, although he's getting some bad advice from certain people, but certainly the Russians, I think, no, it's not the English, it's not the Scottish, it's not the Welsh, it's not the Irish, it's not the Cornish, right? We are a captured nation. We're a colony of the British. And the only way you can shut this system down completely and remove the bad people, and again, people like Dominic Cummings on just not talking about this, and they should be. This is probably one of the most corrupt systems that's ever. And what you're doing is realizing how bad it is. They, just to make sure everyone's aware of this, listen, it's bad enough attacking President Putin in his helicopter, right, which most people don't know, right? And they defended that drone attack on his, that was an assassination attempt on President Putin, right? He's protecting the Russian people from the Bolsheviks yet again, right? And I just want everyone to understand this. You don't attack strategic nuclear bombers that are out and laid out in a certain fashion so satellite systems can see them, because it was part of a treaty. And what Zelensky, NATO, and the British, right? It's the British that organised this. It's the British skill set in military that have designed to do this. They have taken us so close to full-scale nuclear war. President Putin cannot allow, right, the legitimate nuclear deterrent of Russia to be attacked in that way without there being a full, massive response. I don't know what that response is going to be. He has said in the past, we know it's not, he says, the British people. He knows it's not us. It's the oligarch. It's the ruling regime. It's the ruling class that are doing it, trying to keep themselves in position. And something's going to happen. I don't know what. But if I was looking, if I wanted to shut off London and cause them a massive problem for the British, and bearing in mind the British know this as well, he's only got to hit 20 non-nuclear, hits 20 strategic sites, right, in London, and London's finished. 20 million people will virtually be starving within days, right? I won't, because I can fast. You'd need fresh water, etc. And again, even if you've got that, you know, right, that your body is highly mineralized, and you're not going to be in trouble. Even if you had it in storage, it's the equivalent of food. And there is going to be a massive retaliation. I can't see any other option that President Putin has got, unless in some way he teams up with President Trump and says, right, we're all now going to come together as one against the British establishment. We need to take them out, right? And it's not the English people, it's not the Scottish people, right? The ruling classes, the British, have got control of the Scottish National Party. The Scottish National Party are not an independence movement. That's all bollocks, right? They are a socialist nation, and it's not what the Scots wants. But the Scots have been given all this money from you, so everyone needs to understand. Think I'm going to look for a boat for sale, grasshopper. I wish I had the money to buy a fucking boat. These warmongers need to. Anyone out there who wants to donate 40, 50, 60 foot motor sailor, so I can use the engine out, and as long as it all works and it's not going to sink, right? You know, it's reasonably good, right? I'm not asking for a luxury model. I just want to live on it. Find a lady friend and sail the oceans and say hello to the angels of the sea, the dolphins. How's that, right? It's not. I need to go and check my settings again on my camera. I don't know what's going on with that, but I can see the bottom of my screen. Thanks, DD. Good night. God bless. Yes, Sue Ellen. Don't forget what I believe in. The Constitution, the solution. Right? We can all